English Short Stories for Beginners. Chapter 1. A Very Fancy Emperor. Once upon a time, there was an emperor who loved clothes more than anything else in the world. He didn't care much about his army, the people in his kingdom, or even running his country. He only cared about wearing new clothes every day. He had a special outfit for every hour. And instead of talking to his ministers, he spent hours standing in front of the mirror, admiring himself. People in the town always said, "The emperor is in his dressing room," because that's where he spent most of his time. Chapter 2. Strange Visitors. One day, two men came to the emperor's city. They said they were weavers, and they could make the most beautiful clothes in the world. But these were no ordinary clothes. The men claimed that their clothes were invisible to anyone who was stupid or unfit for their job. The emperor thought, "What a wonderful idea! If I wear such clothes," he thought, "I'll be able to find out which of my people are clever and who are fools. I can also discover which ministers are not doing their jobs." So, he gave the weavers a large amount of gold coins, silk, and fine thread to start making the clothes right away. Chapter 3. The Invisible Cloth. The two men set up looms in a large hall. But they put nothing on the looms. They pretended to work, moving their hands and tools as if they were weaving. They kept asking for more gold, silk, and thread, which they secretly hid in bags and took home. The emperor sent his old and honest minister to check on the work. The minister entered the room and stared at the looms. He saw nothing. But the looms were moving, the men were weaving, and they acted as if they were working on something real. "Am I a fool?" the minister thought. "Am I unfit for my job? I must not let anyone know." So he said aloud, "How lovely! What fine colors! What amazing patterns!" The weaver smiled and asked him to describe what he saw. The poor minister repeated fake descriptions, then went back to the emperor. "They are making wonderful clothes," he said. Chapter 4. More Lies and Praise. The emperor sent another official to check. He, too, saw nothing. But he was afraid to say the truth. He praised the weavers loudly and told the emperor the clothes were magnificent. News of these magical clothes spread through the city. Everyone was excited. No one wanted to admit they couldn't see the clothes, because that would mean they were either stupid or bad at their job. The emperor himself became curious and decided to go see the clothes. He took a group of ministers and went to the hall where the weavers were working. The men acted busy, pointing to the invisible fabric, showing fake patterns, and calling out colors. The emperor opened his eyes wide. But he saw nothing. "Am I unfit to be emperor? Am I a fool?" he thought. But he didn't want anyone to know. So, he said, "Oh, beautiful! So fine! I can't wait to wear it." Everyone around him cheered and clapped. "The emperor's new clothes are magical," they said. Chapter 5. Getting Dressed. The day came when the weavers said the clothes were ready. They came to the emperor's room and pretended to hold clothes in their arms. They acted as if they were dressing him, putting on a jacket, pants, and even a robe. The emperor stood in front of a mirror, wearing nothing. But he believed he was dressed in the finest clothes ever made. His ministers and guards said, "You look amazing, Your Majesty." A royal parade was planned, where the emperor would walk through the streets to show off his new clothes. The emperor walked proudly, his head high, his arms moving gracefully, just like a model on a runway. Chapter 6. The Parade of Truth. The people gathered to watch the parade. They clapped and shouted, "Look at our emperor! What fine clothes! What bright colors! What amazing design!" But no one saw anything. Still, no one wanted to be the first to admit it. Everyone feared being called stupid. Then, suddenly, a small child's voice rang out in the silence. "But the emperor isn't wearing any clothes." The people gasped. Then, one by one, they started whispering, "He's right. He has no clothes on. It's true. The emperor is naked." Soon, the entire crowd began to laugh and shout, "The emperor has no clothes." The emperor heard it. He turned red with shame. He wanted to run and hide. But he couldn't stop the parade now. He stood taller, pretending everything was fine. He kept walking, while his ministers followed nervously behind him, holding the imaginary train of his invisible robe. And the two weavers? They had already left the city with bags full of gold, laughing at how easily people can be fooled. Chapter 7. What happened after? After the parade, the emperor locked himself in his room. He looked in the mirror and saw what he had refused to believe: he had been tricked. He felt foolish and embarrassed, not because he was fooled, but because he had tried so hard to pretend. But then, he remembered something: the voice of the child. That voice was honest and unafraid. The emperor thought, what if I had listened to a child instead of trying to impress everyone? The next day, he called his ministers and made a new rule. From now on, he said, no one will be punished for telling the truth, even if the truth is uncomfortable. And no more gold for liars. The people were happy, and the emperor slowly became wiser. He still wore fine clothes, but he spent more time listening to his people and less time in front of mirrors. Subscribe to the channel for more stories.